Welcome to the official podcast series by POTENZA, where innovation meets insight. In this series, we dive deep into the world of SAP, explore the power of robotic process automation, and unlock the true potential of data analytics. Whether you're a tech enthusiast, a business leader, or just curious about the digital transformation shaping our world, you're in the right place. Tune in, stay curious, and let's explore the future of enterprise technology together. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on YouTube for more powerful insights. Now, let's get into today's episode.
Okay, let's unpack this. You know that feeling, just being absolutely swamped.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's kind of what it's like for organizations with their data right now. I mean, it's just pouring in.
Yeah, from everywhere.
Yeah.
Cloud, phones.
IoT gadgets, social media. It's a massive flood.
It really is.
And if you're trying to use analytics, make smart decisions,
Yeah.
trusting all that information can feel, well, impossible. Just trying to grab smoke.
That's a really good way to put it. I mean, the whole point of making data-driven decisions, it completely depends on whether you can actually trust that data.
Right.
If the foundation's shaky, anything you build on it, any insights, they're going to be shaky too.
Exactly. So how do we get some real confidence here? How do we handle this data deluge? Well, that's where Master Data Management, MDM, comes in. It's all about making sure that core, really critical business info is accurate, and this is key, consistent.
Consistency is huge.
But within MDM, there's this really vital piece, the secret sauce, maybe, that really makes the data trustworthy, especially for analytics.
And that's data stewardship.
That's what we're diving deep into today. Data stewardship.
And we should be clear, right? Data stewardship isn't just like fixing a typo here and there.
No, definitely not.
It's more proactive, an ongoing thing. You're committing to the health of the data, really, like tending a garden maybe.
Yeah.
Needs constant attention.
Good analogy. So, for you listening, our mission today is to really get a handle on what data stewardship is, why it's just absolutely essential for reliable insights, and who does it. What are the different roles involved? We've got some really good material we've been looking at to guide us.
Yeah, we've done our homework on this one.
And by the end, you should have a much clearer picture of how organizations can build that solid foundation, for making those truly data-driven decisions.
So let's start with the basics then. What exactly is data stewardship, especially in this MDM context?
Okay, think of it like a dedicated care team for your data.
A care team, I like that.
Our sources talk about it as specific responsibilities, roles, and the actual hands-on practices, all aimed at keeping data quality high, maintaining its integrity through its whole life.
Right, from creation to deletion.
And within MDM specifically, data stewards are kind of like guardians for those really important data sets, the master data domains.
Like customer data, product data, supplier info, that kind of core stuff.
Exactly.
They're custodians, basically, making sure this core data is accurate, consistent, and follows the rules the organization sets. And what's interesting, as you mentioned, is it's not just one type of steward. Our source material points out 4 main types, actually, each with a different focus.
Yeah, and this is where it gets really interesting, because it's not some mythical data guru doing it all.
No, definitely not.
First up, domain stewards. What's their deal? What's their area?
Domain stewards are the experts for a specific master data area. Think customer or product. Their job is ensuring consistency, completeness, accuracy within that domain. But, and this is important, across all the systems where that data lives.
Right, because data doesn't just live in one place anymore.
Exactly.
Okay, give us an example. Make it concrete.
Sure. Let's take a customer data steward. Their focus is making sure all customer records are standardized. No duplicates, please.
Yeah, the duplicate nightmare.
Right. And that the info aligns with the company's business rules. And this applies everywhere that customer data shows up. CRM, the e-commerce site, billing.
So, same clean record everywhere.
That's the goal. They ensure it's the same reliable customer view wherever you look.
Got it. So domain-specific, system-wide consistency. Okay. What about business stewards then? What's their perspective?
Business stewards look at it more from a functional angle, a business unit angle.
Like marketing or finance?
Exactly. Their main thing is ensuring the data meets the needs of that specific business unit. Does it support their key processes, their KPIs? They really understand how the data is used day to day in that part of the business.
So less about the bits and bytes, more about, does this help us do our job?
Precisely. Think about a finance business steward. They might be the one who defines exactly what revenue means for everyone.
Oh, that's a big one. Defining terms.
Huge. And then they make sure that definition is used consistently. In all the finance reports, all the analytics models, they're the advocate for the data reflecting business reality for their team.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now, let's switch tracks a bit. Technical stewards. Sounds like they're closer to the IT side.
Generally, yes. Technical stewards often come from IT or data engineering. Their focus, it's on the technical accuracy and the movement of data.
How it flows between systems.
Exactly. They design and enforce the quality checks, the integration standards, how systems talk to each other. They manage the rules for data flow at that system level.
So they're building the plumbing, essentially, making sure it works right.
That's a good way to think about it. A technical steward might set up the MDM system to automatically check, say, that every product record has a valid SKU.
A stock keeping unit, yeah.
Or that it belongs to a proper category. They put the technical barriers in place to stop bad data getting in or spreading.
Preventing errors proactively. Okay. And the last one, operational stewards.
Operational stewards are more on the front lines, dealing with the day-to-day tactical stuff.
Like data entry.
Yeah, like validating data as it's entered, running routine checks, making minor corrections to records.
Kind of the first line of defense for data quality then.
Exactly. You could have an operational steward in logistics, for example. They might be watching address data like a hawk.
To make sure deliveries actually arrive.
Precisely. If they see bad shipping info, they kick off the process to get it cleaned up.
Okay, so it really sounds like these different stewards, they have their own lanes, but they absolutely have to work together, right? It can't be silos.
Oh, absolutely not. The synergy, the interplay between them, it's critical.
Yeah. How does that look in practice?
Well, maybe the domain steward defines the standard way to format addresses across all systems.
Okay.
Then the technical steward builds the validation rules into the systems to actually enforce that standard.
Right, makes the rule real.
And maybe the business steward confirms that this new address standard actually works for the sales team and the marketing campaigns.
Gotcha. It's a loop. Defining, building, validating.
It's a collaborative effort, exactly, making sure the data is healthy from all these different connected angles.
Okay, so we've got the who and the what. Now let's really dig into the why. Why is data stewardship so incredibly critical for reliable analytics?
Well, the simple truth is, analytics built on shaky data, it's just unreliable, period.
Garbage in, garbage out,
It's
right?
a classic GI Go. Our source material really highlights several key ways stewards contribute directly to making analytics trustworthy.
Okay, hit us with the main points.
First off, they're crucial for creating that single version of truth. We hear that phrase a lot.
Yeah, the Holy Grail.
Right. By finding and fixing duplicates, harmonizing records from different places, they make sure everyone's working off the same sheet of music, the same baseline info.
Makes sense. You can't count customers accurately if Bob Smith is in there 3 different ways.
Exactly. And they also drive data completeness and accuracy. Just monitoring for errors, fixing them, that reduces the risk of skewed metrics, flawed analysis, big time.
Okay, what else?
Then there's standardizing business definitions. This is huge.
We touched on that with the finance steward example. Why is it so vital overall?
Well, if marketing defines a lead one way and sales defines it another, how can you possibly track conversion rates accurately?
You can't. The numbers won't mean the same thing.
Exactly. Stewards establish those common definitions. That leads to consistent, comparable KPIs and reports across the whole company.
Okay, consistency again.
And also maintaining data lineage and auditability.
So knowing where the data came from and what happened to it along the way.
Precisely. That traceability lets analysts investigate weird results, understand the data's history, which builds confidence in the final output.
Right. You can trust the number if you know its history.
Ultimately, all of this single truth, accuracy, standards, lineage, it builds trust. People start to trust the analytics platforms because they trust the underlying data.
Yeah.
That drives adoption.
So it fosters a culture of trust around analytics. Can you give us another solid example? Like, how does this play out?
Yeah, let's take customer lifetime value, CLV. It's a super important metric.
Definitely.
With good stewardship ensuring unified, complete customer records, businesses get a much, much clearer picture of how valuable each customer is long-term.
Which helps with what?
Making smarter decisions about retention efforts, marketing spend, forecasting revenue, all that good stuff.
Okay. And the flip side, without stewardship.
Well, if your customer data is a mess, fragmented, inconsistent, errors everywhere, your CLV calculation is basically a guess. You might drastically underestimate or overestimate a customer's value, leading to bad investments, missed opportunities. It can be costly.
That really spells it out.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's looking at historical data. What about real-time analytics? Is stewardship important there too?
Absolutely critical, maybe even more so in some ways.
Wow.
In real-time scenarios, stewards ensure that the data flowing through the pipelines is constantly validated, checked against quality standards as it moves.
Continuous validation.
Yeah. And think about industries like finance or healthcare. Highly regulated, right?
Yeah, big time.
A small data error in a real-time system there, it could have huge regulatory consequences. Or worse, impact someone's health or finances. Stewards doing that continuous monitoring, they help prevent those kinds of disasters.
Wow. Okay, so it's not just about clean reports, it's about mitigating serious risk too. Now, you mentioned stewardship operates within a broader framework. What was that again?
That's data governance.
Right? Data governance.
Yeah.
Explain that a bit more.
So data governance is the big picture. It's the overall set of policies, procedures, roles, responsibilities. Everything an organization uses to manage and protect all its data assets.
The rule book for data.
Kind of, yeah. And data stewardship is a vital part of that governance framework. Its specific job is ensuring the quality and usability of the data according to those rules.
Okay, and what are the core principles of governance that kind of guide what stewards do?
Our material points to several key ones. First, accountability. Who owns the data? Who's responsible for its quality? Gotta be clear.
Makes sense.
Then transparency. Documenting definitions, lineage, where data came from, how it changed, making it understandable.
So you know what you're looking at.
Exactly. Compliance is another big one. Following the rules like GDPR for privacy, plus internal company policies.
Non-negotiable in many cases.
Definitely. Consistency, applying rules and logic the same way everywhere. We keep coming back to that one.
Yeah, it seems central.
And finally, accessibility. Making sure the right people can get the right trusted data when they need it.
So these are the high-level ideals, right? How do stewards make them real? Make them happen day to day?
Stewards are the bridge. They connect those high-level governance principles to the messy reality of daily data management.
The boots on the ground for governance.
That's a great way to put it. They operationalize the principles. By consistently applying standards, enforcing quality rules, and this is important, educating others, guiding stakeholders on how to use data properly.
Oh, so they're educators too.
Absolutely. Our source calls them key translators between strategy and execution. They help build that data literate culture we talked about.
So not just rule police, but champions and teachers. Okay, let's get practical. How does stewardship actually get integrated into the governance process? How do they mesh?
Well, stewards are really the frontline executors of governance policies. Their daily work is the governance framework in action.
Okay, but how? What activities show that integration?
They're the ones implementing and monitoring the data quality rules set by governance.
Right.
They act as that crucial link, that point of contact between business users needing the data and the tech teams managing the systems.
Bridging the gap.
Exactly. They often sit on governance bodies like data stewardship councils. That's where they bring their practical insights back. Hey, this rule isn't quite working in practice, that sort of thing.
So they provide feedback to improve the rules.
Definitely. They collaborate with governance, leads to update standards based on what they see on the ground. And they track and escalate bigger issues that might need a policy change or a major decision.
So the street-level view informs the high-level strategy. That makes sense. Can you give an example of that feedback loop?
Sure. Let's say a company has conflicting ways to classify products. Maybe the ERP system calls it one thing, the CRM calls it something else.
Happens all the time.
Right. A steward investigates. Why the difference? They work with sales and operations to figure out the right classification, the authoritative one.
Okay.
Then they fix the data in both systems. But crucially, they document the problem and the solution and feed it back to the governance team.
And then?
That feedback might trigger an update to the official data standard, defining the one way to classify products and maybe putting technical rules in place to prevent it happening again. That's the loop.
That's a really clear example. Okay, So if an organization wants to build a really solid governance plan, how do they make sure stewardship is right there at the core, not just an afterthought?
You absolutely have to build it in from the start. It needs to be a central pillar. A good plan needs several components that specifically prioritize stewardship.
Like what? What are the must-haves?
Okay, first, crystal clear role definitions. Who's the steward? Who's the owner? Who's the custodian? Spell it out. No ambiguity.
Got it. Roles and responsibilities.
Then, comprehensive policies covering data access, retention, quality standards, compliance, all the key areas.
The actual rules.
Right. Plus, defined workflows. How do you report an issue? How does it get escalated? Who approves changes? Needs to be documented.
Right.
Yep. And training. You need onboarding and ongoing training for stewards, but also basic data literacy training for everyone who uses data. Build that culture.
Education again. Crucial.
Tool support is key too. Metadata management tools, data profiling, issue tracking. Stewards need the right tech.
Can't do it manually at scale.
Not effectively. And finally, measurement. How do you know if it's working? Define metrics for data quality, steward performance, adoption rates. Track your progress.
So it's a whole ecosystem. People, policies, process, training, tools, and measurement, with stewardship woven through it all.
Exactly. If you embed stewardship in the planning, governance becomes practical, actionable. It aligns with business goals like digital transformation or meeting regulations, not just some abstract ideal.
Right.
And as our source notes, the plan needs to think about scalability. How will this grow and adapt? Phased rollouts, continuous improvement loops. That's important too.
Now let's be real. This sounds great, but implementing it, probably not always smooth sailing, is it?
No, definitely not always easy.
What are the common bumps in the road? The challenges organizations hit?
There are a few usual suspects. Data silos are a big one. Data stuck in different departments, different systems, not talking to each other.
How do you tackle that?
Cross-functional councils help. Bringing people together, investing in shared platforms designed to break down those walls.
Okay. What else?
Just the sheer volume and velocity of data today. It's overwhelming. You need automation for the routine stuff. And you have to prioritize focused stewardship on the most critical data first.
Can't boil the ocean?
Exactly. Cultural resistance is another hurdle. People don't like change or new rules.
How do you overcome that?
Strong executive sponsorship is key. Visible support from the top. And finding internal change champions to advocate for it.
Okay.
Sometimes there's unclear ownership. Who's actually responsible here? That causes confusion.
Yeah.
Using things like RACI models, responsible, accountable, consulted, informed, helps clarify that. Formal stewardship charters defining roles also work.
Defining who does what.
Precisely. Then there's just a lack of tools. Trying to do this with spreadsheets, it doesn't scale. You need to invest in the right tech.
Makes sense.
And finally, inconsistent processes. If everyone does things differently, it undermines the whole effort. Needs standard operating procedures, good documentation.
Consistency, again, it keeps coming up. So it's about spotting these potential problems and having strategies ready.
Pretty much. Being proactive. Our source even mentions using a maturity model to track progress.
What's that? A maturity model.
It's basically a framework. Helps you see where you are now with stewardship, maybe ad hoc, reactive, and maps out the steps to get to a more mature, proactive, optimized state, like a roadmap for improvement.
Okay, useful tool. This has been super insightful. Before we wrap, any final pro tips from the source, like actionable advice for organizations wanting to really nail data stewardship?
Yeah, there are some good ones. First, set clear KPIs for stewards. Track things like how fast issues get resolved, improvements in quality scores, user feedback, measure their impact.
Make it tangible.
Exactly. Second, do regular data audits. Systematically check if data meets standards. Find gaps before they become big problems.
Be proactive.
Third, foster cross-domain stewardship. Get stewards from different areas talking, sharing knowledge, harmonizing rules, break down those internal silos.
Collaboration.
Fourth, start with a pilot project. Don't try to do everything everywhere at once. Pick one high-impact area, prove the value, then scale.
Show success early.
Right. And finally, invest in training. Not just technical skills, but soft skills too. Communication, collaboration, those are crucial for stewards to succeed.
Those sound really practical.
Yeah.
Great tips. So wrapping this all up, it really feels like data stewardship isn't just optional anymore, is it? It's foundational.
Absolutely foundational, especially if you want trustworthy analytics in MDM. It's the bedrock.
Cleaner data, reliable insights.
Stronger compliance. It just leads to better outcomes all around. As data gets more complex, more voluminous, investing in stewardship, it's not just nice, it's a strategic necessity.
And at the end of the day, it builds that organizational trust in data.
You're right. That's the core of it.
When people trust the data, they use it more, they act faster, they innovate more confidently.
Exactly. So the final thought for you listening today is really this. How well is data stewardship actually working in your organization right now?
Yeah.
What steps could you take, maybe starting small, to strengthen it, to really unlock the power hiding in your data? That's the key question to ponder.
That's a wrap for today's episode of the POTENZA podcast series, where we decode SAP, automate with RPA, and analyze with precision. We hope you found today's conversation insightful and inspiring. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and stay tuned for more deep dives into the technologies transforming tomorrow's enterprise. Got questions or ideas for a future episode? Drop them in the comments, we'd love to hear from you. Until next time. Thank you.